Uh, Good evening once again, everyone. Okay, so I think what I have on the screen was our last class tax. Just before I proceed, I really apologize for the adjustment of the days. So this is the 13th day out of the 16 classes promised. So it means we have just three left, and like I have notified us in the group, it will be the classes will be held only on Sundays like this. I have another engagement that will be that I will be engaged with on Saturday. And Saturday I'm always very busy, so I don't like the idea of shifting the classes every now and then. Okay, so yes, so far so good. I can say that we have foundational knowledge of Python programming, and we have developed at least few basic and intermediate apps so far since the class is started. And I believe that even those that may not want to proceed with the advanced aspect after this entire training, they can claim that they have Python basic knowledge, which can actually help them to plug in into some of those areas that do not need beyond basic Python programming. For example, if you want to go into data analytics, what you have learned so far is even beyond the knowledge of Python you need for you to go into that aspect. Even if you are thinking of going into cybersecurity, what you have learned so far is also beyond the knowledge required for you to be able to do well in that field. Right, so that is actually one of our objectives for organizing this training, so that at least you have the basic knowledge that will help you to switch into any tech domain that requires Python basic knowledge. So we are going to start a new series, which I am not very sure that we can actually cover within the 3 days, 3 meetings are remaining. But however, those that want to go up to learning the advanced aspects, we will communicate that probably after the last class. I think where we are going to stop, we just have a few things to cover to earn you that advanced Python skill. Even the topic that I am going into today is part of the advanced. So it's your luck, because I thought that I will be able to spread what we have covered so far within the 16 promised meetings. But unfortunately, because of you guys learning speed, you guys have exhausted all that I planned within that 16 days. But as a way of keeping to our promise, I just decided that it's your luck. It's your luck. So peradventure, some of you that we follow this aspect that we shall be looking at in this session, and the remaining three aspects, if you are going to probably subscribe for the last phase of it, which is the advanced aspect, if I have just people from this, then it has also helped me one way or the other. But if I have people joining from, because we will also market for it where we want to start that aspect, because I know we have some persons in that group, in that our WhatsApp community, that have done Python basic, that are waiting for the advance for them to key in. So we are going into what we call objects-oriented programming. That is the aspect we are going into now. That is advanced part of Python. object-oriented programming. That is the era we are now. We have moved from what we used to call procedural programming era. Now we are in object-oriented programming. Think of it with Python, and particularly Python, and even other programming languages of today. They have that capability. So that is the aspect, and it's very wide. This is the aspect that you need to learn for you to build applications beyond basic apps. All right, so I'm going to lay the foundation in this section. By the grace of God, on Sunday, we should be able to start, applying it to the extent that we can develop applications, right? So let's look at that. Introduction to object-oriented programming. That is our focus tonight. So let me see if I can just continue here. Introduction to object-oriented programming. Introduction. So I would advise us to take note, because the video might not get to you today, but I know that before the end of tomorrow, you might get the video. So introduction to object-oriented. I know I gave us an assignment, but I believe those of you here must have done it. I don't want to bother myself. Introduction to object-oriented programming. That is what you normally hear as OOP, like this. So when you hear this OOP or OOP, that is what object-oriented programming is, an advanced aspect of programming, and it is the nowadays ways of programming. So if you really want to go advanced, you must understand this aspect of programming. So I will dictate, and where it's necessary for me to write short definition, I will also use comment to present that. So let's just talk about the history, because we need to know how programming has advanced. Where was it before? How come about this object-oriented programming? So we need to, understand a bit history of it. All right. So before the object-oriented programming, we have what we call procedural programming. We have what we call procedural programming, right? So which means programming very complex, very complex. Like I was sharing, I don't know whether it's your class. Those days, it's only a few persons that will show interest in programming, right? Even when I started 21 years ago, I ran away from programming at first because of its difficulties. It was later on I discovered that the entire technology is rooted in programming. That is when I begin to develop interest for it. Because I know that whichever way you look at technology from, you will see that everything emanated from program. Everything is programmed. It has the hardware surface or face, and it has what? Software face. So when I say procedure, it means that was the era where you have to write a lot of code just to perform a simple or complex task. It was very taxing. It was very taxing. In a whole city then, you can have just 2 programmers, as big as Lagos. I remember that time. I think I was living around the K2. Hardly you see a programmer. Put an advert and keep a programmer. And when you eventually see one that time, the amount they are going to charge you. So, but today, programming has been made very easy because of the introduction of the word, the OOP, which is what? The object-oriented programming. All right, so that is just for us to know that before the introduction of the object-oriented programming, which is the, let me refer to it as the intermediate and the advanced Python that we are going into now, was introduced. There was a procedural. All right, sorry about that. So I was trying to tell us that before the introduction of the procedural, before the introduction of the object-oriented programming, there was a system in existence which is called procedural programming, which makes programming very complex. So I'm just going to give us some illustration for us because this is a little bit logical. It's not everybody that's actually survived this aspect of programming we are going into, but I'll try my best to make sure that I simplify it in a way that everybody here should be able to skate through. Now, I'm going to back my explanation with some vital illustrations that we inculcate it in your memory so that whenever you are looking at this concept of programming, you will know whether, okay, once you look at some of this illustration, you'll be able to know what exactly this aspect is picturing. So let's look at it this way. Let's assume that I have a chef here. I have a chef. We all know the role of a chef in an organization, right? And then let's say I have a waiter. And then finally, let's say I have a cleaner. I'm just going to use it to explain the concept of the object-oriented programming that we are looking at. All right. So now, all these people, they are connected. They receive instruction from one person in an organization called manager. All these people receive instruction so like I was saying, so we have a manager that gives instructions to this. All right. Now, let's put it in proper context. So let's say you have several employees, just like I've illustrated here. This is an employee, this is an employee, this is an employee. And assign different roles to each of them. That is the manager now, assigning role to each of these employees, right? What to do. Now, you do not need, after assigning that role the first time, you do not need to be reminding them on what to do because you have already assigned what we call methods. Because in object-oriented programming, we have what we call the attributes, and then we have what we call the methods. The attribute is what the object is made up of, while the method is what the object does. Please just give me a few minutes. I don't know if you are hearing some. All right, so like I was trying to illustrate here, I just want us to get a picture of what we are talking about, the kind of programming. Now, in other words, what we are trying to avoid here is a kind of repetition. So you create objects. So in this case, this will be recognized as an object. This is an object. This is an object. and this is a class. All right. So this manager is a class that assign role to objects. So that is exactly what we are trying to picture here. So now, with that illustration, I believe we understand the concept of programming we are talking about here. So just to add to what I've said, I said OOPS, which is object-oriented programming, makes our programming tasks scalable to avoid complexity. So this was not introduced to increase the complexity of programming. It was introduced to make programming easier. All right. So why it is called object-oriented programming? Because it is a way of modeling live or real life objects. All right. So so I was trying to tell us why it is called object-oriented programming, because it is a way of modeling. So that is a keyword, modeling. How do you model a situation? Look at what I did here now. I just modeled these objects. I modeled the role of a chef. I modeled the role of what? A waiter. And what? So you are just trying to structure it. So that is what's brought about the object-oriented programming. So we are going to look at an example here that will further clarify it to us. Now, example, let's model the waiter, because we say the object-oriented programming is a way of modeling, real life objects. So as a person, I can be the object that belong to a particular class, right? So if I want to model a person now, let's say I have the person here. This is the waiter now, out of the structure that I gave to her before. Now, when you are talking about object-oriented programming, two things must be considered. One is attributes. The other one is method. Every programmer that works or that program in this aspect understand what is called attributes. So let's just look at the illustration. So we have attributes and then we have method. I think with this illustration, it will be clearer to us now. I'm trying to see how I can break it down for us. Like I said, it's not all programmers that scale through this aspect, but I'm trying to make sure that I simplify it. Now, this attribute now, attribute is what describe the object, what provide additional information about the object in a particular class. Now, what the object does is not just describing now. For example, now, let me particularize it like this way for you. Prosper is an object under class of human, right? Now, Prosper has hand, leg, eyes, head. These are attributes. Now, each of these parts that I just mentioned, they have a role that they play. Like, for example, I mentioned hand now. The hand, which is part of Prosper attribute, does something. That thing that he does, it is called method. So here, the waiter we are modeling is that what he has is the focus. That is the attribute. One, I can say that is holding plates. Yes, we can set it that the person has what? Plate. You know, waiter, they always hold plates. That is what he has. Then the waiter also have another thing, which is what is responsible for some selected tables. So let's say the waiter is responsible for table 5, table 6, and then probably table, let's say table 4 and table 5. You know, they will assign them. All right. So they will be assigned to take care of people in a certain what tables within the restaurants. Now, this waiter now, we just mentioned two attributes. That is what? Holding plates. Holding what? Plates. That is, so we just identify what? Two attributes, holding plates. Now, what are now the method? The method is does what the person does. That's why I told you that method means what the person what does. So what does the waiter do? That is what we want to look at here. So here you are going to define function. So you see where function definition will come in. That function that you learned the other time now will come back here. That is why we try as much as possible to give us that foundation, to know function declaration syntax. Because here when you are working with classes in Python, or when you are programming using this concept, you work with function, because it is function that will define what the object does. All right. So I believe with this, so under the method does, I can say, okay, he takes order. He takes order. It takes what? Order. It takes order. It takes order from customers. So let me hold on to ask us if there's any question with what I've illustrated so far. And I hope that that is established. So question, please.
No question, sir. Right on. Hello?
Yeah, you said there's no question, right? So that means all
Yes,
is well
yes.
explained. Okay, so
Yes.
I just want us, so let's just add this note before we proceed. So note, objects are made up of two major things. What is the takeaway here? Objects are made up of what? Two major things. Number one, an attribute. An attribute. Let me see if I can put that in writing. Let me see if I can put that in writing. So objects are made up of two major things. Like I said, the first one is objects. Let's take this as a note. Objects are made up of two major things. Objects are made up of two major things. And what are those things? So number one, we look at A, attributes. So in summary of what I've illustrated so far, attributes. And then B, we have method. We have methods. All right, so let's take into consideration these two things as we proceed with the object-oriented programming. So just to explain briefly, remember I have said before that attributes are, okay, let me put it, an attribute is just a value An attribute is just a value. So let's see attribute from that perception. Attribute is just a value, while method, from the illustration, I'm just trying to finalize it. Methods are functions. Simple as that. Method are functions. Method are functions. A particular object, can do. So for the sake of those that are writing, that is a summary of what we have explained so far. All right, so now we can have one object with multiple word tasks or function. So let's bear it in mind as we continue with the programming. We will expand from one object with one attribute and one function. So one object can be assigned what? Multiple attributes and also multiple what? Or let's say multiple function, right? So just like in a company, we can have an employee that will be assigned to 2 or more functions. So that is what we are saying. We can as well have in a company where we have an employee, one employee assigned to one role. So that is the point. So we are going to look at the constructing or construction of an object and assessing their attribute and method. That is the next topic. So here we will start looking at, so the next topic is constructing objects, and assessing their attributes and methods. So from what I've explained so far now, you now understand what we want to look at. So the first thing we are going to do is this one will lead us to some practical now, so that you understand how we can construct the objects and also assessing their attributes and method. All right, so let's quickly look at that. So the first step is for you to create a project. So I'm going to leave this project now. So the first step is for you to create a project and then name it. So it's part of what we have been doing. So I'll start by coming to this hamburger because it's a new project I want to create. And then I'll select what? New projects, right? This is part of what we have been learning. And then determine the name of the project. So let me just leave it at what? Python project 1. And then specify the location where you want to store it. And then I'm also adopting this location, PyCharm project, right in my user in local disk. And then I activated all this to have some repository from GitHub to be able to synchronize certain properties from there. So I can say it should be in a new window. So project can either be opened in a new window or replaced. So I would like to open it in a new window like this. So remember, it will take some time to prepare the environment. So what I'm trying to do now is to practicalize this concept, what I have explained, talking about objects-oriented programming, OOP, and looking at how we can construct this object. Number one, we look at how we can assess their attribute. Attribute is what make them up. Then we'll look at how to also assess their method, that is what the functions. So once the environment is done preparing, we look at that. So while we are waiting for the environment to be ready, if you have any question, you can ask.
So I didn't see how you opened this new file.
Sorry, were you here or you were not following?
I wasn't looking at that moment.
Okay, you are okay. Now, what I did is that I went to this. I click on the hamburger, the 3 button. I felt it's something that we have learned if we have been writing code all this while. So you go to File and then you select New Project. Can you see it now? Let me confirm that you are seeing what I'm doing right now. It's as if the network is cracking somehow. But have you seen it? I went to File and then I selected New Project.
Yes, I can see it. I'm seeing create Git repository, create the welcome script.
Okay, so that is what I click. And when I click, it prompted a message whether I want that other window to be replaced with this one, or I want it to open in a new window. So I selected it should open in a new window. So this is a new window now. I hope that is clear. And the window open with a default file called main.py. All right, so which I want to clear everything that came with it, and I've just inherited it as a file. All right, so now this particular project now has just one file. So what I want to do is to create another file inside this. So what we want to learn with this is to see how we can construct an object and assess their attribute and method. I hope we are on the same page now. Are we on the same page?
So he's asking me if I want to add the following file to Git. Am I to add or to cancel?
Yeah, add.
Okay, sir.
So, hello, sir. So,
Yes.
should we open it on this window or new window?
Yes, you can click on new window. New window will take you from your previous window. But if you want to open it on that window, the other one will leave, and that one will take that particular environment you are. But since you know the name of that project, you can leave that one, open another one. So let's assume that you were using that window to practice what we have learned prior now. So this window is to learn the object-oriented programming. So I believe you should just say new window. I hope that is clear. Mr. Yomi, hope you are following.
Yeah, I'm following, but my network just logged me out. I'm trying to log in on my phone.
Okay. All right. So the first thing we are going to do, so I've created this file now, and I have inside this project, I'll create a file. Forget about that. The project you created came with main.py. So we need to create our file. All right. So you are going to create a file called main.py, but we have it, so we'll leave that one. And then we will create inside the main.py, inside this particular file now. So which means that we are supposed to create our own file, but setting up the projects all right, because you indicated interest that it should add those gate and order. So it came with this file. So we will just inherit it as the first file. So inside this file, we are going to import a module. You see, we have gotten to the aspect where we start talking about Python module or Python packages. Because the way I want to train us first is to leverage on modules. Then we will now go and learn how to create our own. Modules are like libraries. Modules are like libraries. One thing that you must know if you are a Python programmer, either for data analysis, you know the modules for data analysis. These modules, they are library, and library means where functions are stored, where certain function has been created and stored for you. So you as an advanced programmer, it's not expected that for every programming, you write all your code from scratch. So that is one of the advantage of programming with Python, because it has a lot of modules. It has a lot of packages. So most programmers that you are hearing out there, most of them leverages on these modules. Once they understand the basic and the intermediate, the rest is just consulting modules. You want to create an app, there is a module for it. You want to do this, there is a module for it. For those of us in data analysis, this same packages, this same module that we import that offers us functions for doing whatever we want to do. Those that are using Python for web development, back-end development, they also leverage on the framework that also allow them to access these modules. All right, so we're going to start by learning how to use modules to implement these classes and this object-oriented programming we're talking about. Then, towards the end of this topic, we will now start learning how we can create, instead of depending on module, how we can create our own attributes and method, classes, objects, ourselves. So the first thing I'm going to do in this file is to import the module. Now, there is a module called Turtle, right? In Python library or documentation, there is a module called Turtles. So we are going to import it because there are few illustrations that we are going to perform using this module, and at the same time to walk us through the steps how you can import module. So once you know the module, you should know how to import it. So inside this file, I am going to import the module. So I'll simply say import. So that import means that you are seeking the presence of an entire package, an entire bucket of function to exist in this file. Why? Because you want to access certain classes, methods, and attributes from it. All right, so now we are importing, like I said, we are importing Turtle. So you can see that. So this Turtle is in your Python by default. Is in your Python by default. sorry about that. So what I will try to say is that once this particular turtle is already in your installation by default. There are so many packages, there are so many modules that are already installed by just installing the Passion. So we will get to the point probably in the next class where we will now learn how to import external modules, the ones that does not come with the Passion. But this very one is already installed. That is the reason why we are not getting any alarm. And that is why as soon as you type, you saw the way it pop up from the library, which means that what? This is already present here. All right, so I'm taking it a basic, like I said when I started. I will encourage you to, even if we do not finish everything before the other 3 classes elapse, just prepare to subscribe for the advanced so that you can follow it up. Well, like I said, when I said that this is part of the advanced, it's just that you guys learning speed will cover beyond. Now, so the next thing we are going to do now is to create a different file. Just make sure that you follow it. There's something we are looking at. The topic, constructing objects and assessing their attributes and method. We don't want to start creating the classes from scratch now. We just want to start by leveraging on the existing module that have classes, attributes, and method. Before we can access those attributes and the method, we need to install, we need to recognize, we need to import the bucket that have them. And that is why we imported this turtle. Now, the next thing is for you to create another file in this your project. So to create another file in this your project, then you click on this same hamburger, you see your file, your own might be showing the file directly. So you click on the file, and then you now go to new. You are not selecting new projects. You are selecting new because you are creating a file inside a project. So let's get this well. Let's know when to click on this new. Let's know when to click on this new. All right. So I click on this new, and then it pop up this dialog box asking me to specify the type of file I want to create. The type of file I want to create. So let me go again. I'll click on the new, and then I will specify that I want to create Python file. And then I'll give that file a name. So for example, I can just give that file a name, another module.py, so that you know that it's another module. So that you know that even this module that you imported, this is how Python created it, program some functions, program some classes, attribute and method, and store them for you to be what? To be fetching. Now you will create this as what? Another underscore module. Another underscore module dot py. All right. So you press enter, and then you notice that you just added a new file inside that project. You just added a new file inside the project. So now the next thing I'm going to do in this particular file that we created, I am going to create a variable and store a value. You will see how we will now import the other module. You see how we will import this module in the main.py module. So the idea is for you to understand how you can be working in a file, and then everything you have created in one file, which is now your module, where you must have imported your module, can be reached out to while you are in that particular file. All right. So now here I'll just create a variable so you can see the application of what we have been learning since. So let's say what? Another variable. This one is a variable, and I'm setting this variable to, let's say, 12. All right. So once I've done this, you will now go back to the main.py. You will now go back to the main.py. All right. So you now go back to the main file, which is this. So we are back here now where we have imported the module. So let's just try this. So the next thing I'm going to do here is I will import. So which means that get the logic here. Get the logic here. You created this this file as another module. That is, why are we referring to this as another module? Because it has a function, it has something inside story. Because I said modules are like packages, modules are like buckets, modules are like libraries of functions. So that is one of the things that make Python to be vast, that make Python to be applicable in almost aspects of technology today, because of the what? The numbers of module and libraries that it has. Somebody in data analytics can be using it. All he or she will be doing is to consult the module that contain the functions that he or she will use for his data analysis. The one for web development knows the module that contain the function that he needs for the back-end development. So that is the logic I'm trying to show you now. So we have already set up this. So now, as you can see, sorry about that. Now, we have created this. You should be seeing this as one of the modules, but you created it yourself. And then from here, let's do something. Let's say imports another. Did you see the way it brought it? So this is how these modules are created. This is the module, this is what you created. So which means that what? From here now, everything that you set up in this particular module, this variable, whatever file that you must have, whatever functions you must have created in this module, while you are here, in as much you have imported it, you can access them. So how do we verify now? How do we verify if we can actually access now that we have imported it, right? So let's try printing. Let's try printing that variable that we created in in this module. That is let's try printing this. Another variable is a function, or let's say is a property of that module. Now that we have imported this here, if I say print now, if I say print another, remember the name, another variable, then comes out. All right. So if I launch this code now, let's run it and see. We are in the main. You see that it printed out the 12. So which means that right from your main.py, you are able to access a value from another module. So I can also come to this module, right, and create another value. Let's say variable s. Variable s equals to 80. And then in as much I have imported the whole of that bucket here. Now I can come here and say, okay, I want to multiply the value in another variable in that module by, I want to multiply it by the value of s. The value of s. So if you come here now, you see that s is storing 80. And then I just want to do a multiplication here. So if I run this now, we should be getting the word. Let me run it again. So name S is not defined. Name S is not defined. So let's see. Yes, we say what? From module import what? This. From module import what? This. So we have not also imported. So we need to also what? Put a comma here and put the S here. So let's run it again now and see what we get. Perfect. So which means that it was waiting for it to be what? Imported. So you can see that all the information you have in that module, right in your main.py, you are able to use them. So the Python application development you are hearing is about module. It's about module packages. You want to develop a calculator, you know the module for it. Once you import the module here, you cannot be calling the attribute and the method from that module. So here now we just call in this case now, we just use a simple concept variable. We just call a module what? Variable, and then we use their value to perform a calculation. So I would like to hold on if you have any question. If you don't have question, I will hold on for every one of us to perform this task. Just like I created these two files, create your main.py, then create another one, establish some variable, import that module here, do something like this, while I also welcome questions.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Can you hear me? Please, this another module.py. What is the variable you added? Like S equal to what?
Look at it. I'm on it now. I'm on it now.
S equal, no, the second one, not the first one.
Okay, S is equal to 80. You can put any number. You can assign any number.
Okay, S equal to 80, yeah?
Yes, yes, yes. So
Okay.
that's your classwork, everybody. Every one of us should confirm this, particularly those that are joining with your laptop, and let me know before I proceed. I'm waiting.
Okay, you can go back to the main.py. Let's see what is there. This number 6 print another variable. Print another variable. What is there? Is it divided by S or what?
No, times.
Yes, that
I'm
place.
multiplying. I am multiplying. That is times. I'll tell you.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
I'm coming on you now. Hold on.
Hello? Okay.
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay. So this another module.py. My x here is equal to 70.
Okay.
Should we go to the main.py?
Yes.
Okay. From another module, import another variable x. Another variable times x. When I run it, what I get here is 840.
840. Okay. Now let me go on someone else's screen. Please, if you have
Yes.
also written your own, let's see it quickly.
So I'm not joining with my system, but I use another
Your
module.
phone.
I use times x is equals to 90, and when I run it, I got 1080.
All right.
Can you
Let's
see my
get.
screen now?
Yes. I don't know whether this is still a Mr. I think this should be it.
You see Boris Ade, right?
Yes. I think yes.
That's my screen. Okay.
Yes, I can see your. I can see your screen. Space.
So my MakePy is
Sorry, I can't see you again. No, that means I wasn't seeing your screen before. I can't. Can you try and share again, please?
my network is bad. It has logged me out on the laptop again now.
Because I noticed.
Okay, can you see it now?
Yes, you are back. You are back. Yeah. Go ahead, sir. Okay, yes. Just explain. I think almost the same thing you did now. I can see it. It's almost the same thing.
Yes, but my value is just different.
Okay, yeah, okay. Why are we getting an error from import total? I'm seeing something like an error there. Hope it's still working.
Yeah, it's working now. This red thing, right? I don't know what is happening to my Python.
Please, can you hover on that exclamation mark, that yellow icon? No, the other one.
This one?
Yeah, let's see what it says. Okay, one, you click on it, let's see. Maybe something is use import statements.
Import.
Yes, yeah, maybe, probably because we have not started using it. No, it's okay. We are still working with the one we created. We have not started using it. That is what it's complaining. There's no issue. Okay, you can stop sharing, sir. Let's add one or two things. Okay,
click on.
Okay, somebody wants to
click on click mode like that as well.
Somebody is
But when I click on
contributing.
it, it goes to number. Just click on that red circle.
I've done that. I've done that. It has. The word is no more than that.
Okay. All right. So let's add one or two things. I just want us to get where our next class will be able to go into more complex part of it. So what I have used this to explain to us so far is how you can create a module and how you can call the value or how you can use the value in a particular module in another module or another file. That's exactly what we just confirmed now. So now, using that same logic, we are going to use that module now that is complaining that we have not used it. So remember the topic. I just quickly do that thing first so that you have an understanding of what is going to happen right now as we begin to call some of the attributes and method in this total module that we have imported. All right, just like the way we're able to access this now from here, that is how we will now be accessing. Remember the topic. The topic is what? Constructing objects and what? Accessing their attributes and method. So now let's quickly look at it properly before we take the next step. So same way we want to access. So just like the way you have done this now, same way we want to access. So that is the main topic. Same way we want to access total objects from total class. Same way we want to access total object from total class, right? So remember that we have already imported it. Let me see if I can. Let me also know that we are starting afresh. So we start from importing. Import total. We need to import the module. Good. Now you understand. So from this module, some of the attributes and methods that have been created in this module is what we want to access. So after this, I will now store the module in an object. Somebody pay attention here. This is the module. It's just like you have called the entire bucket that has attributes and methods that you probably need for your programming. So the first thing you will do, you will create an object and attach it to this module so that from that module, you will now be calling the attribute and the method. So how do we implement that? So let's say I say what? Prosper. So this is Prosper object now. And then I am setting the Prosper object to that module that I have imported, total, right? And then I will concatenate it with the total. Now, I will explain it now. Just hold on. There's a reason why I'm using capital letter in some places and why in some other places I'm using small letter. Now, because we are talking about method function, so you have to add the what? The parenthesis bracket to it. So let me illustrate it. Let me use my annotate to explain it. So this very one here is, I want you to take note of this, those are writing. This very one is a new object. So we are just entering the topic properly now. The new what? Objects. All right. Why this one is the objects that is already in the module. Objects
in the module. Then why this one is the class. Is the class. Right? Now, with this illustration, this is just like another variable you are creating that becomes your object, your new object. Now, this one is the object you are accessing from this module. You can see that the class will always start with capital letter. Note it down. Anytime you are defining the class, it will always start with capital letter. Now, with this, what we are saying is that you have imported this class, and that is what through this class, through this object, you are accessing what? This class, and the whole of that is stored in what? New object called Prosper. So now if I should, let me clean this, and then I proceed with the code. So let's say, for example, that we want to simplify it. Just to explain it better, I can say to simplify the code. This same representation can be represented as, I can say, from, so you can see it now, so that this one will go with the one we just did now. So instead of you saying just import total, you can say from total import. So you either write it like this or you write it the previous way. Import from total, import, just so don't mind, imports total. So you now call the class. Right? So remember that you always start with capital letter. So you can now go to the next line and say, if you are going this way, then the next line, let's say Prosper 2, will now be just what? Equals to, you just put what? The total direct. And acknowledge it as a method, which is what? Function. So it's either you write it this way or you write it this way. You can see that here, you simply imported what? The objects or the module. And now from the module, you are accessing what? The class. And you are storing it in what? Prosper what? New objects. All right? So now if I print Prosper now, so that you know what it's going to bring out. If I print Prosper, so let's say we are sticking to this one. Let me comment this one to avoid conflict. So if I print Prosper 2, sorry, if I print Prosper 2, all right? So now let's check what we have. You see? So it printed the Prosper. What it's telling you is that this is an object from a class object, and this is the storage location. So this particular information now tells you that yes, it exists, and it is stored in this location ID. All right? So now we want to start accessing, accessing the attribute now that we are sure that the object has been created. So accessing objects attributes. Accessing object attributes. So the practical example, and this will be the last practical. Now the practical example is this. I want to be giving illustrations so that to be easier for every one of us to understand. So let's assume that this is a car. Don't mind my drawing. Those days in secondary school, this is how the doctors had to draw a car. Now, this car has attributes like I've established before. Attributes. The attributes of this car are speed. The attributes of this car are speed. And then this is one attribute. Another attribute of this car is fuel. Remember, I told the attribute is what that object has. Y method is what the object does. So fuel, so let's say what we are storing a 32 liter, for example, 32 liter. Now, if I am to write an object, so it's going to be the car, it's going to be car dot speed. See, so this is how I'm assessing car attributes. I will always call the car as an object, and this is one of the attributes. So when I want to assess the speed, I'll write the car, then dot its attribute. If I want to assess the liter of fuel inside the car, I will also do what? Car dot what? The fuel. So this is the logic behind assessing what? Object what? Attributes. So a simple example we are going to do, and then after this example, probably we will stop here so that you can go and digest this. Okay.
Hello, sir.
Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yes, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Please, okay, my question now. This second turtle the second turtle imported into this main.py, and this your cross pal equal to turtle, comma, and turtle in bracket. Why did you remove it in the code? Can you please explain to us?
Sorry, if I may get you right, why did I remove, sorry, from point I was not following the question. Can you just come again?
This second turtle imported.
This one here,
and
right? This one, right?
No, add up. No. Add it up. No, after that, yes, that space. Why did you remove that? You imported another turtle there.
Yes. I was only trying to give us alternative to simplify it.
Okay.
You understand? So I don't know if you have written that before. I said, is that how you do it that way? I did not even know that it was deleted. I thought I just commented it out. So is that how you go that way or you go this way? Both of them will give you the same results. So this method is just like you are simplifying it. Because here you have imported, you say from this, you have imported what? This class. So all you need to do is just to set the class to a new object without you referring to what? To the object again. But the other one, you created a new object, and from the old object, we are calling the class. Do you understand it? So that one looks a little bit more complicated. So that is why I gave us this option. All right.
Okay. So last question now.
Okay.
If we are calling out that class of import turtle, and we don't want to use it on the code, can we as well comment it?
Yes, you can comment. Yeah, exactly. So you can comment it out. That is exactly what I tried to do. I did not even know that I deleted it. I just commented that one out first.
Okay.
I hope that is clear. Let's proceed so that I can complete the simple tasks that will generate valuable or reasonable results for us to really understand what we have been learning since. All right. So now let's assess. Now let's create So in this case, we are not creating the class. We are going to access them from the turtle. So now we want to exploit that turtle. So just like I want to do again now, I want to comment this out for now, right? Now, I'll say from, let's look at this example, and this will be the last class for tonight. Turtle, from turtle, import the class. Remember, it's the class that will always start with the capital letter. From turtle, import the class. So, and also we are assessing what the class has. That is the attribute now. In that scenario of the car and the speed. So I will now say, okay, from this, we are assessing what? Screen. You will see this there, screen. So this is one of the words, the attribute of that word, turtle word, class. So now I can now create my object and set this screen attribute to my object. So I will now say, okay, my own screen, just like we were creating that Prosper, then setting the screen. So this is a function now, a method, all right? So what it does, this is the attribute and this is the what? The method. This is the attribute and this is the method. So what we are saying is that what? You are setting the method to this object, and then what is it going to do? Now, if I print, that is, I want to print the screen, right? I want to print the screen, and the screen has sizes. So that size is the attribute of the screen. So let's particularize it. So if I say print, now that I've created my screen object. Now, if I say print my screen, because remember I've set the method to it, my screen dots. So Canva height. This Canva height is an attribute of a screen. Just like the way we were calling that another variable. We are not seeing it now, but it exists. That is why I have to quickly took us that option first so that you understand, okay, this thing, where are they coming from? So what it means is that this is just like that place where we say another variable from another value, something like that. So now if I print this now, just to explain it before I print, because after printing, we are stopping there. So this is an object. So this is an object, right? While this is an attribute, what it has. This is an attribute, what it has. So at this point now, we are not looking at method, because once we get to method, we will start creating function. So we are just talking about what? Attributes. Now, I believe with this, now let's run the code and see what we are going to get. So by the time I run this, what is going to happen? It's going to print a screen. And it prints a screen with what? 300 size. So the question is that 300, where did you get it from? The 300 has been created, just like the way you created that variable and say equals to 12. So for us to call that attribute alone, so we are able to access the size of the screen. All right? So when we now get to method, probably in our next class, then we will not see how we will print out that size. The size will be on the screen, just like this screen that we are seeing now from here to here now. So once we have been able to exploit the method is now the function that will now produce the size of this screen for us, and then we'll be able to see it. So I just feel that being the first class, because this topic is a little bit logical, so I don't want to go too far. So I want to stop here so that you can go and understand what we have done, at least the introduction, we have learned certain things concerning what object-oriented programming. So in the next class, just make sure that you go through this video, understand every part of what we have talked about today, then practicalize where you need to practice what we have done. If you need to even do more things, done a lot of variable concept creating, you can do more things, you can create different scenarios, create a module, create different tasks there, then assess them just for you to master the entire process. So that in the next section, we will look at, we want to print the size of the screen, which is now what the screen does. But what we have done now is just what printing what the screen has. The screen has size 300. Any questions so far?
Yes, sir.
Did you say yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, your question.
No, yes.
No, yes.
My question is this, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
My question is this. Like this coder, why is it that some of the letter is in capital letter, while some is in small letter? And where you even try to use small letter in a place you are supposed to use a capital letter, it will give you code error. Can you explain that?
Somebody
Can
can
I answer?
Thank you, Jare. That is what I was even. Thank you.
The one that is starting with capital letter is the class. Like he said, the class we always start with capital letter.
Okay.
Yes.
Simple as that.
Then the small letter is what?
Object. Did you understand it?
Okay.
So this is an object. From this object, we are importing this class.
Okay.
So this is a class. From this is a class. So you set this class into your small letter on here.
Okay.
Did you get the logic now?
Yes. Okay. So like if you want to use the class and the object, like in what scenario do you use the class and in what scenario do you use the object? Like
we have used class now. We have used class. This is a class, and we set it to our object. And then here you printed the object and the attribute of that object.
Okay.
This is an attribute of this object. So the next class, you understand this better. The next class, just make sure that you are there. We will do more read practical that when you start seeing all this app, you will not be wondering, no wonder. So these are the things that are happening. So Python is actually very rich when it comes to classes and others. So it's a long topic, But like I told us before, we have this is 13 class out of 16. And we thank God that we have been able to come this far. And then I have at least 3 committed people here. So like we said, at the end of the day, the last day, we are going to do a kind of presentation the last day, and then we will now look at the best students among us. We either refund the money back to the person, or we even give the person ×5 for what the person paid. So just make sure that you keep following. Just make sure that you keep following and keep preparing if possible. We announce the advance. For the advance, we get to creating user interface. Because like I told us, is that now we are using Terminal to view our results. But once we enroll in that advance, we get to where we no longer be outputting our results here. We will be using user interface to output our results so that the user does not see this back end where we are writing our code. And that is where the beauty of all these things are. So all these ones, they are just like the background work that a programmer does. And then the users, this interface will be too complicated for them. They cannot understand
Yes, so you have to give them a more simpler and more user-friendly environment where they can interact with some of this stuff you are programming here. So if I don't have any other question, I think I will stop here. So okay, sir.
Okay, can we implement this on VS Code, or is it only Python that we can implement it?
The truth is that I only use Visual Studio Code for the basic aspects. But when it comes to these advanced aspects, I don't use it because most of the things will not be in the library as we are accessing them freely. But you can give a try and get back to us. I don't like giving conclusion to what I have not practicalized. So when it comes to the advanced aspect, I always stick to, because this is the main app that can take you from basic to advanced. But you can try it, just do it and see if you need to get something and give us the feedback in the next class so that others can also learn from that. All right. So thank you, everyone. I'm encouraged by your commitment, three of you particularly.
Yomi is leading now.
Hello,
Yomi is
sir.
leading.
Please, last question.
Okay.
Hello?
I'm with you.
This new windows that the new window that we open in this PyCharm that we use for today class. How, like, I want to save my work. What is the possibility of that, sir?
You save now. You save. You understand? You come and click on save as and save.
Okay.
But ordinarily, it should have been saved to that project folder. But if you still want to save it, fine. You can go ahead and click on save as from file and save it.
Or you just press Ctrl S to update. All right. Good night, everyone. Everybody. Have a blessed week. Thank you.